We're going to load up this trailer with some of the logs I quartered yesterday. My dad's on his way up here to help load these, but it'll take him a little while to get here. I've had a few people ask me about the rigging we're using for this loading situation. I've done a couple of videos about loading logs in the last few weeks. I made a video a while back going over all my rigging, the blocks I use, the cables, the chains, but that was over a year ago. I know we have new people here who haven't seen it, so we'll go over this rigging while we're waiting. This rigging is so simple, this may be a really short video. It starts with the overhead line, which looks like 1/2-inch cable. There's no secret to 1/2-inch cable. This is just what he happened to have here handy when he needed it. So that's what he used. This side of it is wrapped around this big cedar. That end of the cable has an eye in it, which is connected to itself with a shackle. This big old growth cedar has bark that's so thick, this much weight's not going to harm it. The cable is strung from that tree to this tree. I'm probably being Mr. Obvious right now, mansplaining the obvious part of all of this. Looped around this tree, secured with a couple cable clamps. He wrapped the cable around so it's pushing against some recently cut off knots that partly holds the cable up and partly protects the tree. And there's no secret behind using cable clamps to secure this. This is just how it worked with this rigging he has here. Happens to have handy in this spot when he needed it. He has different loading lines like this scattered around the place with different configurations. One way he could do it is put a choker around that tree, a choker around this tree, then pull the two together with a chain, or find some way with whatever rigging you have to attach one to one tree, one to another, and attach to each other. Or if you had a really long chain, you could put a chain, one end of it around that tree, string it over and put one end around that tree. Or use multiple chains. So many different ways you could do this. In the middle, well, not quite in the middle, but in a strategically placed position where we want the block, he put a cable clamp right here. That is so when we hang the block up here, he's pulling on it from that direction. So that's to keep the block from sliding that way. Keeps it in place. There's a problem with hanging the block this way because we need the line to be coming this way. Perpendicular to where the block is. That's why the shackle's on here, so it can be mounted this way. Now the block is parallel to the direction the line needs to go. These are the common blocks we use out here. I believe the 5 means it's a 5-inch block. People ask me for the links to this kind of equipment. I don't buy these things online, I just buy them from our local logging supply shop. If you want to order these online, you could probably get them through Bailey's or another forestry supply website. I don't know if they have them on Amazon. I'll try to remember to look. We have 2 lines on the ground for this setup. We have our pulling line we use for yarding the logs into this spot. This is 7/16 cable. I think this one's about 100 feet long. It's just a long choker, an eye on one end, a choker bell on the other. Over here is our lift line that we lift the logs with. There's no secret to 3/8 inch. Most of our pulling lines, we like to use 7/16, but I think this is just one he had laying around handy that was a good length. This one looks like it's only 25 feet long maybe. He may have chose this 3/8 one because he happened to have one that was 25 feet, which is just the perfect length for this particular setup. I stopped recording because he showed up. We got this loaded up. I didn't record any of this because I already have enough footage of us loading. It would just be repetitive. I'm going to use some of that old footage on this video. I already pretty much covered all the rigging we're using. I don't know what else I can add. I need to start on another video. We're going to go check out a bear wallow. That'll be for an upcoming video. One thing he said, my dad said, this gives new meaning to close quarters. Where do you think I get it from? See you on the next one. If you missed the video where I show you how we load the logs, I'll put a link to that video in the description and in the upper left of the screen here. Also a link to the video I made a year ago that goes more in depth into more of the rigging I use.